welcome to another episode of Open Up Podcast, where we talk about real issues with the aim of inspiring, growing, learning, unlearning, and basically just opening up, as I like to say. So yes, my name is Dara, and today I'm actually talking about something very sensitive, but I feel like it's a very needed topic because one way or the other, we have all like experienced it, and I'm talking about trauma. And trauma is a very big issue. So I'm going to be like focusing or centralizing, or rather focusing on emotional trauma because I feel it's not being spoken about as often as it should be. It's not being touched. It's not, people are not opening up to the emotional traumas they have. People are not even realizing how traumatized they are. And so this is actually an opportunity for us to just share, learn, gist, and heal, hopefully. I'm not going to be doing this alone. I have somebody that I've known for a very long time. He's amazing. He's funny, but I feel like he has like a wall of strength behind his comedic side. He's deep. He's also a relationship coach. He's also a very handsome individual. Yeah, I'm talking about no other than OGBOLOR.
Gang.
Yeah, so first of all, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's.
It's so good to see you.
First, I'm just happy I didn't meet you like in a psychiatric place. You know why I'm saying this? Because
Why?
sometimes we have to like appreciate people on their progress.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just happy with all you're doing.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank
Well
you.
done. Well done.
You.
Well done.
And thank you for honoring my invite.
We had to be.
Even though I haven't.
Even though the devil tried.
Even though the devil tried it.
But we are here.
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Try to hide my phone, guys. That's what's happening.
No, professional.
It's too much the TV thing. I don't know.
People never know this.
I know. That's why I'm even sharing it because you never know. You're just
It has to be.
then on the break, you're like.
Sharp.
Okay, back to the topic. So, as I said, it's deep.
Emotional trauma.
Emotional trauma.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a story.
Okay.
So first of all, I have to say that because this podcast has made me share things I would naturally not share. Like I said, I was led to do it because God was like, people need to hear some of these things. And when I kept thinking about how to start off this conversation, I was trying to look for like stories I could lift off, and the Holy Spirit was like, nah, you're gonna open up about yours.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. So I'm going to start off from someone you probably know. You know Coyote Peters?
Yeah.
I've done a couple of movies with him. And then whenever he gives me like these crying scenes, I'll be like, oh my God, KP, I don't know how to cry now. Because I don't know how to cry on cue. So whenever I see, sometimes I used to reject.
Just because of...
Because I'm like, I just feel like it's more organic. Like, so
action, cry. I said, no, that
nothing.
The cry is not
one
crying.
tear will not come out. So I used to just feel so weird about it. I used to feel like maybe I wasn't good an actor in that regard. And then I took breakfast.
You were served on a platter.
On a platter. And so the next time he called me for a movie, I was supposed, in fact, Kule Remy was even in this film as well. He was like a player. And then he broke my heart. And I was telling my friend about how he broke my heart. And then that was the next thing to cry. And then I just remembered.
You went deep. You went to the
It was not even that deep because it had just happened to me. So I just, that guy. I killed it.
Once.
I killed the scene once, one take. And then Kippy was like, if you like say you don't experience heartbreak, you know the way he talks. I didn't say anything to that, but I kept thinking about it like, okay, could that be why I could easily draw from that? Because prior to that, honestly, I was like a happy-go-lucky child. Everything's just cherry with the world, like, you know? And now experiencing this changed something about me. And not only did he even make me cry on cue. That was not the only thing that happened. I went on like a wilding out spree.
Okay.
I
Enter street.
I entered street fully, my full chest. There was this particular bar, you probably know. I was there like every 2 days, sipping mojitos, margaritas.
Going spiritual to the other side.
To the other side, just having fun, meeting people. But I was always like, and also I started like maybe becoming sexualized, very, okay, so yeah, what are you here? Yeah. If you talk to me as a guy, you haven't even said a lot. I'm just like, okay, so what do you want? I know that's what you're looking for, but like,
all the defenses,
all the defenses were up, and I felt like I was healing, or I was, processing. This was my way. I threw myself into work, as people usually do. In fact, that's when I set up my spa. So it was a productive heartbreak.
Well, everything worked together for good.
All things work together for good. And then, interestingly enough, and this is the beauty of God, a couple of people kept reaching out to me. One of them being our pastor in my church, Celebration Church in Abuja.
That's true. We used to be in the same church at some point.
True. That's true. And he messaged me. He's like, oh, I had this dream about you. Are you good? Another pastor in the church was also my friend. He's like, oh, hi, Amanda. Are you good? I just felt to check up on you. I think pastors, I come like say, what's in the occur?
So everybody checking up on me.
Now, the mind-busting part, this is how I knew that God was literally trying to save me. Not that I was also like doing some shenanigans with someone I shouldn't have been doing.
Okay.
But Pastor Kingsley reached out to me.
My guy.
I know. That's why I'm giving you that context. If you don't know that, I'm talking about Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo, and I'm so grateful, sir, for everything. So he reached out to me and he's like, hi, how are you? And everything. I'm like, it's fine. And he's like, okay, I've not seen you in a while. Because at the time, I was popping in and out of your church. Yes. And I'm like, yeah, okay. He's like, oh, how's this person? Not anymore.
Wait, was it that person?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
I know.
Wow. It really looked like it was...
You was getting there, right? Yeah.
I know. Some of us even had to say,
sorry. And he's like, oh, how is this going? I'm like, oh, it doesn't exist. He's like, oh, we need to talk about it. Yes. Why?
Normal.
Why do we need to talk about it? And so, are we good? And so, that's how he actually insisted that we do a Zoom call, which I knew was actually not typical because he's a very busy person.
Yeah.
And we did this Zoom call, and in my mind, I was already feeling defensive about because he obviously didn't know that other pastors were like reaching out to me. But I was feeling defensive, like, what's all this? People should allow me in my life. This is the only time in my life I'm wilding out. They should allow me be. And I was in my mind, I'm like, with all due respect, I'm going to give you like 20 minutes and blah, blah, blah. So when he asked me what happened, this is me going, so this happened and that happened, okay, and that was it. I didn't want to say much. And then he's like, Amanda, emotionally, you're like this. You're like this. You're fighting, you're defensive. Yeah. I'm like, what did I tell this man? That he observed this and then he's like, I should go see a therapist. Yeah. That one took me away. We're like, and me.
What is wrong with me?
What's wrong with me?
You're not mad.
I'm like, no, but I'm fine. They know, I insist. Even I shared someone's contact and I spoke with her, and honestly, she was instrumental to, first of all, making me feel validated, validating how I felt. And this particular experience is tied with a lot of things. It's not just heartbreak. It was also like some sort of like, let's say, church hurts going on there and everything. So it's like a very complex issue, but because of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And she validated, I think that was the first person that actually validated me, just to like stir up a bit, because I feel sometimes when we deal with this as Christians, we tend to underestimate a person's trauma. Yeah. While trying to, we spiritualize so much, so everybody just might pray, go to church. I'm like, no, I am hot. And she really validated me, and I feel like that was like the beginning of my healing journey. But I would say that it changed something about me that took a very long time. Maybe it's just even this year, I feel like I'm getting back to that
Okay.
bubbly energy because I became so skeptical, so defensive, so aggressive. And first of all, you said that that was emotional trauma.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the trauma thing is mostly how you're responding to what has happened to you.
Yeah.
You get, and once that hurt kicks in, and then you start to respond to the hurt in defensive ways. Sometimes all of these things they're related. There's some people will jump into other forms of relationships with other people,
Yeah.
and so these are more or less like the byproducts
Of emotional
of
trauma.
you get, and what the trauma itself is what you are responding to. You get, so all of this, you're being defensive. That is why a therapist will literally probably bring you to a place where you identify what is wrong,
Yeah.
accept it. There is the owning it first. And it's very important because people shy away from that. That is the part where people actually shy away from. People don't own the issue. They don't
Yeah.
own that elephant in the room. You don't
We
deal
don't
with
talk
it.
about it.
You get, people just move on. And there's so many people who are moving on from relationship to relationship, not healing from the previous, getting into another, not healing from that,
True.
and continue with the rest. So people are walking baggages, they're carrying baggages everywhere. So yes, that was you, in your own way, because that defensive thing, explain it like it's not my fault. I didn't have any part to play. And sometimes you not having a part
Yeah.
to play may actually be that you have had a part to play. Yes. But
That's
sometimes
interesting.
we allow people hurt us. So
Hmm.
that also comes into question. You played a part allowing yourself be hurt this way. Because when it comes to emotional stuff, there also has to be wisdom.
Yeah.
You can't just go all in and just say it's emotions. Emotions are bad at directing people. So that's why when some people are in love, you can't advise them.
Yeah, they won't hear nothing.
Yeah, but you have to bring in some level of wisdom
Wisdom.
to know how to do stuff, when to do it, if to do it or not to do it. For example, there's a way you carry yourself as someone's girlfriend. There's a way you carry yourself as talking stage. There's a way you now carry yourself as a girlfriend. And then there's some other benefits that comes with that level. Then there is the benefit that comes as a wife. At these different levels, you apply a different type of wisdom. But some people are in girlfriend stage,
acting like wife.
they're already wife. Now, when the breakfast is now served,
it feels like a divorce.
Yes. So my point is, wisdom also needs to come into the whole thing. That's stemming from the fact that we spoke about how sometimes you play a part in allowing yourself be hurt.
Okay, so I like that you said that because the defensive part of me was like, no, but I actually hear you. I genuinely hear you. So I think, like you said, a lot of people are not even realizing that they're going through emotional trauma.
Yeah.
And honestly, if literally when I realized this was emotional trauma was on Sunday when I kept thinking about what story should I share.
Okay.
And I'm like, actually,
That's yeah.
that was one of it. But how would you say are some of the clear-cut signs of knowing that you are going through emotional trauma?
Okay, I'll just share a little bit of mine.
Okay.
I've always been a love guy. Yeah, I love everything in romance. I love to take care of a woman because first, I'm a twin.
That's true.
Secondly, I grew up with my mom, so I grew up being like the dad in the home.
Oh, yeah.
Because my dad wasn't present.
Okay.
So I'm literally taking care of women all the time. And then, of course, we'll always have women in the house. My sister's friends, aunties, my mom's friends. So I'm constantly in that place where I'm making decisions like a dad in the home. Sometimes when my twin sister and my mom are having issues, I tell the both of them, sit down, and talk to you, and say, yes, sir. So naturally, when I started dating, so I took that part of me into. So I'll give everything into it. So naturally, I didn't like to see women get hurt because my empathy big and my patience is big. At some point, I could see myself being abused in relationships when people, some of these ladies will take my patience for granted. You know,
Emotional abuse.
yeah, I mean, when when some people, you literally know that this person, for example, you're dating someone who's very stubborn,
Yeah.
you forgive some type of probably verbal abuse and all of that
Yeah.
today, and for patience sake you continue, and then next week something else happens that way, that same week another thing happens that way. Okay, no, I'm patient, I can allow it, don't worry, she'll be good, she'll be fine, at some point that was me now allowing myself be hurt.
Like what you said,
You get,
sometimes you actually allow
allow
yourself.
these things, so, but quickly into the gist. So I was dating this lady. If I had proposed to her, it was everywhere, it was all over social media some years back, and I loved this girl with my life. This was me that I'd been a bad boy, player. And then I meet this babe and I'm like, okay,
This is it.
this is it. Your playing days are over. Calm down, focus on this and all of that. And then I proposed to her and everything. And at some point, the babe moved on. I remember going to get her stuff from the supermarket, and I just came. We didn't fight, we didn't have any issues. And she literally broke my heart there. And it was one of the things that literally made
Wait,
me.
sorry, I don't
I'm
understand.
trying to
You went to
summarize.
the supermarket and she broke up.
I'm just trying to
She does
summarize.
not like supermarkets. Or
No, that was not it. I'm just, giving the picture
Okay,
of when the
okay.
breakfast was served.
Okay.
I had my, the
You
goodies.
look. I love how you remember it vividly.
Of course. Yeah, look, I was on TV. So I literally remember everything because I had to shoot the very next morning. She came back to give me the ring that same morning.
Oh my
I was going
goodness.
to shoot live immediately and all of that, and that traumatized me. It opened up different kinds of wounds that I did not know existed. That was when I started understanding the fact that I had separation anxiety. I had several other forms of fears, you know. And because my dad had not been in my life, I didn't know I also had that part of me that always wanted to fill gaps. Now I'm trying to share the different things that could come from just one scenario, one particular occurrence in one's life.
Yeah.
And I had to take my time. This was 2016. I had to take my time and not get into any dating phase anymore. Because I started to see. Now, this was me literally going into finding myself. Because what we do sometimes after, we have these kind of situations is we are busy blaming. We're not looking within to say,
You're not looking
okay,
inward.
yeah, what is the problem? Where did I play a part? Not blame game on yourself now,
Yeah.
but knowing yourself better. People don't know themselves. You don't know triggers. You probably will not see your pattern until someone else tells you this is a pattern. I've seen this thing in your life with several other relationships. You may never see it. This is why you need people in your life who clearly tell you some truths. And this was when some of my friends started to speak about certain things. So I started to understand, okay, I think I've played this kind of role when it comes to heartbreak for me. So I had to start dealing with stuff at different levels, So it's very important that in this journey, it will reveal some things about you, but you have to first be ready to open up to understanding that I need to find me. When you know yourself, you know your fears, you know your strengths, your weaknesses, you know who not to date, you know who to avoid. Once you can also find your traumas and know what your trauma is, probably as a kid, because some of these things stem back to our childhood. We'll get there, but some of the things that you can see as
Adult
signs,
Okay, signs.
You had mentioned one, you get defensive, then there'll be fears. Fears will now, anxiety is one of those things. You just get into a relationship, you find your boyfriend just walks to the side to make a phone call. It triggers something.
What is doing?
This thing looks familiar. This guy cheated on me before. He was speaking, and he may just be speaking to his dad.
Yeah.
I may not want to be close to you to have that conversation.
Privacy,
But it
yeah.
triggers something, and you say, because we are constantly storing, our soul is constantly storing experiences. It's not going anywhere. It's there. Certain things will trigger it later on. Sight, smell, words. You hear some things, you feel some things. It will trigger something that you've experienced before, especially negative. And anxiety will just step in. Fear of the unknown will step in. You don't see this person, he has not called you nearly all day. What is he doing? Where is he? Who is he with? And all of these things will start to come out. And before you know what, problems, will start to. Sometimes when people have issues where they've broken up with someone else, when you hear irreconcilable differences, you can't really pick what the problem is. But there's a problem. Why are we always arguing? These things sometimes are some of the children of fear, anxiety. Sometimes some people are angry. Anger is a major part because it's the part of you that is trying to fight that traumatic experience,
Yeah.
you know. But
Yeah.
now you're having a relationship with someone else. Some people are having a relationship with someone else, but they are treating the other person's mess up in the
Yeah.
life of that person.
I know what you mean.
You get? So
I know what
sometimes these
you
are
mean.
things that show up as signs.
Yeah.
Sometimes your partner is not the problem, it was your ex. Sometimes your partner is not the problem, it was your dad who was absent. Sometimes your partner is not the problem, it was that sexual abuse you had as a child. So sometimes these things, they're quite deep.
That
So
is
people need
quite
to
deep.
find themselves. That's why I said
Yeah.
find yourself. Know your history, your personal history. How have I dated? What were the things missing in my life as a child? Were you being beaten by parents as a child? Did you constantly see your parents fight as a child? Were you sexually abused? Were you verbally abused? Were you bullied? All of these things. Sometimes people are in relationship and actively seeking for validation.
Yeah.
Validation is good. You know, I mean, people have
Mhm.
the love languages can
Mhm.
be, you know, words of affirmation, which is good.
Mhm.
But there's an extent it can get to, it becomes a problem. When you cannot, you literally, that person has to die with words to please you.
Every morning you are beautiful. You are
Yes,
blessed.
they have to worship you with words. It's a problem. And sometimes, if you check the history of that, as a child, you never really got good words from parents, or probably you were bullied as a child and constantly being spoken of, you know, to negatively. So, as an adult now, the little child in you is literally crying out to be spoken to beautifully. The little child in you is crying out to say, I didn't have this particular parents present in my life. So now that I have a relationship, this person must be present. Must be present. You cannot be absent.
It's like the person is filling all the gaps that
Yeah, so
you have had.
that's why people this called what you call trauma bonding. You know, where you are dating to fill a void. These are problems, so people don't know they bring into relationships. So you literally we don't talk a lot about where you need to be in your own space before you date.
So this is very interesting. So I think I've picked out like two major aspects here. One, the signs, which you said,
Fear,
depression, anxiety,
depression,
anger, all of that. And what you said something very profound. You're like, okay, you have to find yourself.
Yeah.
And then I think you're also trying to say you also have to be able to identify these people with traumas.
Yeah.
Because I think there's also something that happens, like it's something I told my folks one day. I was like, you taught me how to be a good person, but it did not teach me that there are bad people around. And I told them I was obsessed with them about that. And that was coming from a very genuine place because you're like, oh, love God with all your heart, with your mind, with your soul, your spirit, and love your neighbor as yourself. And then someone slaps you, turn the other cheek, and then they slap you once.
It's all it again.
Twice.
Before you know, not to mumu.
You're not the serious mumu. So I feel like, first of all, finding yourself. Like, so what does that mean? Finding yourself.
We need to encourage it. We need to encourage
But
to
like,
stay. Sometimes you don't need to date.
Do you have to like go? Do you have to like do like year to year? Like, okay, when I was 1 year old, when I was 5 years old.
No, not really.
How do you do that?
Not really. If you actually give sometimes the world is too loud. You are too busy mentally, and you are consistently going through. You know, you're working, you're trying to make money, you're hustling, you're probably dealing with something in the family and all of that. All of that can be loud. You need a place. For me, I do these things all the time. You know, get a place where it's just you and you. Sit down and reflect. One memory could pop that could open another door to another memory. But you can't really find these things if you're always in a noisy place, if your mind is constantly noisy, if you are always in that place where you're juggling stuff, everything together. You know, in finding yourself, go through your dating, since we're on the emotional now, go through your dating history. Be sincere with yourself, be very honest. People are not honest to themselves.
It's hard.
People will lie to themselves and then believe the lie and make the lie a fact.
It become truth.
Yeah, because now it's you being defensive.
Yeah.
So it's quite difficult to say, and then people blame it on love a lot. Say love na scam. No, maybe you've been stupid. Maybe you've been dating foolishly.
I am a mumu.
Maybe you've not been applying wisdom to your dating process.
This is we are talking
You know,
about piercing my heart.
no, because people tend to blame other things external. People
Apart
don't
from
reach in.
themselves.
Yes, just be honest with yourself. Go through your dating history. What can you say has been similar? What are the patterns you can see? What are the things that you've not really come to terms with? Be truthful to yourself. Just be honest with yourself. Just you and you. You can tell yourself some truth. Just you and you. You know, just the way you look at the mirror and just see your naked self.
Yeah.
Go through that process with you. You know, so that's what we mean when I say find yourself. In all of that, while you were dating, what have your strengths always been like? Are you the type that really loves and loves? You love people. Naturally, you are a jolly good fellow. You want everything to be okay. Be honest that that is how you are. Now, did some people make you some type of way later through your dating process? Oh, okay, I dated this person. He was always beating me because I was so nice. Okay, then that was where trigger started from. That's where your trauma started from. Okay, all right. Now, you go through this process of asking yourself through several relationships. In fact, it's as important as penning things down. I did this in my life at some point because I mean I grew up without my dad. I understood what that void was. Thank God for my uncles. So that way they were able to bridge it. And then I had mentors quite early. So they helped to fill that void. So I really did not feel too much of his absence because I became a man quite early. You know, I was also bullied. I was bullied because I was called a bastard all
my God.
my childhood time, you know. So I cried a lot as a child, you know, and so I understood that as well while growing up, especially when I started to have heartbreaks. I could now identify, okay, it's like this, I know this feeling, but I don't know where it's coming from. When someone leaves me and it hurts, it hurts. I literally want to punch the wall, but it's, why do I feel this way? It reminds me of a feeling I don't know, but it reminds me of something. It was one that I remembered. Yeah, you were bullied as a child. You were bullied as a child. And these guys were always like this, they're calling you names and all of that. And then I had a stepmom who was also in her own way favoring her own kids. And I was like the middle child who they just put, so there was abandonment issues.
Oh my God.
I realized all of these things, yeah. And I had to deal with them by myself.
Picking up some layers one by one.
You have to come to that place where you strip yourself of everything you've put together. Some people are walking around successful in their end, you know, with your career and everything. But when you take out the layer of those successes, the person inside is a hurting, is someone who is hurting, is someone who is carrying plenty pain. And until you deal with that, no layer of success
will feel it.
it.
This is very interesting because I was I love Friends a lot, and you know how Matthew Perry passed, and you know maybe I'm also being a bit biased because I've been watching it recently, and I'm like, oh my God, and he was so funny, and I think he was actually such a funny, like so much soul and so much oomph and everything, and I'm like, impressed, and I tend to see like. I know it might seem some type of way because you're also a comedian.
Yeah.
I tend to see that some comedians are actually going through
a
lot. Going through depression.
A lot of comedians are also
like,
very angry people.
How does it?
It's a facade. Sometimes you tend to create other things as your way out, as your escape. Laughter being one of them. So sometimes you become a people pleaser just to gain acceptance. And then that becomes a thing that for you is okay to get all of. That's why I spoke about career success. For comedians, for example, I've seen it. I know a lot of comedians who make people laugh, but their true self, they're very angry people. Very angry. Some people are just.
I'm just shocked.
No, because you can be. Sometimes you have dual personalities.
Wow.
From your growing up, you could have picked several types of behaviors, and you can become this at this time and that at that time. This at and people bring all of this into relationships. This is where people keep, having conflicts. A lot of comedians, go through depression because you are busy making people happy. Nobody's making you happy. So after a beautiful show,
everybody's happy as
yeah,
long.
you're taking pictures, and then you go back home, and then you are alone. You now meet your actual self.
My goodness.
Then that person outside is one person. The one in the house is the one who hasn't healed, who is going through stuff. And this is why people go. You just hear that a comedian just committed suicide, or one person is very depressed and all of that.
Yeah.
You know, so you can actually be very successful
like
career-wise.
The irony of it.
I learned that when I started becoming popular, it was one of thank God for mentors who would tell me truth. You know, I had to learn not to get sucked into fame. I became quite when we decided doing Jennifer's Diary. My fame shot to another level. And if it went probably from now I was doing TV and doing radio right before then. And then I started doing Jennifer's Diary. It shot from probably 40 to 80%. Yeah. Everywhere, people were calling me, people were wanted to see me these dates, travel there. I was traveling. You get here, get to this school, everybody's out to take pictures, you know. But thank God for mentors who have taught me don't get lost in this. Yeah. Who are you first? So, but I've spent so much time with myself to love Micheal. I love Micheal. You can't give to people what you don't have. So now I exude that. I would love. So you say, okay, I'm walking around smiling,
and it's real.
It's real. I spend good time with myself.
I love that.
You know, these are the things people need to learn.
And from what I can hear, like, obviously you've mentioned the traumas, but I can sense that there's a lot of healing. Yes. I don't know what percentage, but I can sense that you have healed from it.
When you can talk about it.
When you can talk
when
about
you can teach from it. When you want to help other people from your own experience.
Because what I wanted to talk about now is, I feel like the age we're in, people are now using trauma, anxiety, PTSD, depression is now like a cool word. Like, oh my God, my traumas. Like, sorry, my anxiety is like acting up, you know? And maybe, some people think it's a cool word to excuse some rubbish behavior, but then there are also people that are actually wearing these traumas like clothes and they feel justified to project these traumas. Like, I am like this because this happened to me, and I'm going to keep being like this because it happened to me. And so some people have gotten to that place of realization and justification, but it has now made them bitter people, or like they can't seem to, they're in a loop. Yeah. Have you met those kind of people?
Of course.
They're in a loop. They don't even know they're in a loop. Yeah. They're saying the same thing, and I'm not even talking just relationships. They're just constantly talking about something that happened to them, and then you can literally be talking about shoes. Like, oh, that time that shoe, that thing that the person did. So, why do you think some people get stuck in that loop, even when they have figured out that, okay, this is where this trauma is coming from?
Yeah. It's like some people who say stuff like, I know I'm, you guys, if I put my mouth now, everywhere goes scatter. It's like celebrating your nonsense, but not doing anything about it. There's that, you know, where people literally probably know that they've had these issues, you know, but then there's a next step to actually going to find help. For example, you mentioned therapy. People don't go through therapy.
Especially in a place like Nigeria. Yes. Therapy is like...
People just think that it's...
Therapy seems
as if you are mad.
Weird. Yeah.
It
feels
therapy,
like
say,
you have psychological
you get your head no correct again. You know, so people just feel... therapy doesn't necessarily have to be associated to, you know... Like my pastor would say, the whole country needs therapy. The whole of Nigeria. Man, we've been messed up mentally. Agree. Yeah. We just don't know.
And then we all laugh about it.
Yeah, we all laugh about it. So that is one of the things. You just feel like, we're okay. You know, we're good.
When you cruise country.
Yeah. You know, but we need therapy.
Blackout in Nigeria.
Yeah, that's how we just
well, as in cruising. This one will favor me and my family.
We always have that way out.
You actually have family, right? We're actually all traumatized.
We are traumatized.
Oh my God.
We are carrying trauma everywhere, heavily, you know. That's why when you leave the country sometimes, you just see how things should be.
You become sane.
Yes. You know, and the same Nigerians who are messing up here, you go there, you have to align. You behave, you know. But I think that people, while identifying your issues, for example, if you have anger issues, it's quite important that you start to do something about it. Over sitting down and overly celebrating what it is that your problem is, and talking about stuff,
I mean,
you
even
know.
not just celebrating is like you're justified. Like for instance, you hear these stories like, oh, I slept with someone, the person gave me HIV, so I will now do it to every
Yeah,
other person.
yeah. At the end of the day, we can make anything, we can justify anything. We can,
There's that.
we can. And that's why people don't heal.
So, do you think that therapy would bring a person like that who has identified their
Yeah,
trauma?
it would help you.
It will help you to move past it.
Yeah, it will help you to move past it. If you observe when they have like group therapy, for example, observe how the person who is anchoring makes everybody introduce themselves. You hear stuff like, "Hi, my name is Micheal. I'm a drug addict." There's a reason why you need to mention it. Come
But
to
the
terms
Bible
with your
said that
problem.
we should not talk about ourselves like that.
No, the thing is this, yeah, even in your confessions as
Yeah.
a Christian,
Yeah.
even while accepting Jesus as your Lord and personal Savior,
Yeah.
you mention some sins. In fact, Catholics, you say you should go for confession.
Confession.
There's a reason why.
Confession, that means it's some sort of therapy.
It is. You have to mention these things. It's not like you're mentioning it, in such a way where you're creating, because yes, there's a deeper level of spirituality where you're very careful of words.
Yeah.
You can't start saying stuff because there's a spiritual you that is
Yeah.
creating consistently as God. So be careful of words. But in your healing process, in therapy, confession and all of that, there's a need for you to look at that devil and call the devil. Mention the name of the devil. That's
Because if you can't even
demon.
find the
If
devil,
you
how
can't,
do you
yeah,
fight it? Yeah.
if you don't identify. If I saw this movie recently, what's the name of this movie? What's the name? It's on
On Netflix?
Netflix, yeah. Where the Pope,
Nigerian.
no, not Nigerian.
Okay.
Where the Pope, these guys who, what do they call them again? Who battle with demons,
Yeah,
people,
exorcist.
exorcist. There's a particular one on Netflix.
The Pope's Exorcist?
Exactly.
I watch it. The great horror. It's horror though.
It's horror. Well, I'm not a horror movie person, but I enjoy that because I watch stuff like that on YouTube.
Okay.
I like to know deeper stuff about spiritual, and there's something he said in the movie. They were looking for the name of that demon. They needed to find the name of the demon,
it out.
and they couldn't really do much until they found the name, and then he went back and called it by name. There's a need for you to call your issue by name and say, I have anger issues. Now that you've owned it, you have identified it, you can then begin to address it and then start to call what you want to see, not what you're seeing. You understand? So instead of I have anger issues, you've identified it first, then moving on, I'm at peace with everybody.
Okay.
So now you begin to claim the ones you want to see, not what you've been. Gradually, your life begins to change. You get. And
But what about these people who have experienced the trauma? Do you think that they need to have some room for forgiveness? Like, would you say with your traumas? Because for instance, you said something deep, separation anxiety based on your dad, and how you were treated with your stepmom. These are things that you don't deserve to be treated like this, right? I'm not trying to bring you back to the past, but do you think that it comes from healing? Also comes from a place of forgiveness.
Yeah.
First for yourself and also for the people who did these things to you.
Of course, you have to heal. You have to forgive yourself. You forgive yourself. Some things were not within your they were not within your control.
Yeah.
And some people were also doing things out of ignorance. You then have to also forgive and to say, okay, they are human, they can actually make mistakes. And just allow it. When I had that issue with my ex, man, I had to pray and bless her. That was where my forgiveness started from. I had not seen her over years. In fact, she broke up with me and started dating somebody else. It was my fiance, not my girlfriend, my fiance. Wow. Started dating someone else. I mean, she was quite young then. So, I mean, she was probably 24, 25, So, okay, that was the age. Because later on, we actually,
Sorry, that just made me laugh. The age for what stupidity.
no. I mean, there's a time you
You're
get
not
you in your life when
ready.
you are just jumping up and down. You feel like you have plenty options. I
Yeah.
mean, babe, now everybody is checking after me. So I beg, if this one is not, I'll just read.
Another one day.
So, but it was her age. You get
Yeah.
so, but I had to because I'd not seen her in years. We were not talking. After probably 3 years, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2018, 2019, I had to verbally start to pray for her.
Wow.
Because I needed to forgive because I was carrying hurt. I was not ready to date anybody. In fact, any girl that was coming to my life, girls came. The ones wanted to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so, can I cook for you?" And then this was when Jennifer's Diary was peaking. So I was
in your prime.
man, every state I went into, man. So at the end of the day, I knew that I had to forgive everything. Forgive her. But now I can't find her. So my forgiveness started for me praying for her. Now this was something, this is where I understood another level of forgiveness. Where I had not shed a tear since after the breakup. Because I had man up. But when I started to pray for her, one day I was praying for her in my room and I was literally calling by her by name. God bless you. Whatever it is you lay your hands to do is blessed. I started to just bless her where my mouth was saying blessings. My heart was saying curses. Then all of a sudden, I burst out in serious tears. I was crying. The anger came out. All the resentment came out. It's like it just came here. And I started to shed tears. That's why I knew I needed to fight that devil at that point. And that prayer helped me. Because after almost 1 hour crying and praying, I came out of the room just free. Not up to 4 months, I got a text from her saying, "I'm sorry for this and this and this and this. I was a child then, blah, blah, blah. We're good today." You get? And, she got married and all of that. But she actually apologized. Sent and I was like, "Oh, fine, cool." I didn't go looking for closure or anything. I didn't.
That was the next thing I was going to talk
Yeah,
to
I know say
about.
people, babes, when I want to know
They
everything.
love closure. I won't even lie. As a woman, I feel like closure is like super important. But I don't know, your gender hates closure.
It's not hate.
What's the issue?
I think that for men, because men are not as
men don't
emotional
like talk
as
about
women.
breakup or problems or trauma.
Because when we are that's where we are different as men and women. Sometimes women just think that men will operate as women. Nah. In every aspect. Unfortunately, both sexes think the other sex should think and behave like them. So most times women are judging men by what women will do.
Yeah.
Men are judging women by why should they cry? Why is she crying? She would cry. She's a woman. She's more emotional in nature. Men are logical. Men just is head. And we don't think of different things at the same time. Men are project driven. You get, so it is this thing part time, this one part time. Women can juggle 4 things at the same time. We're just different in our own ways. We now need to understand each other.
So as a man,
yeah.
Now you're representing men, so be careful what you say. Would you say closure is important or not?
I don't think it's important.
Sorry, as a woman, I'm triggered.
No, but I don't think it's important. Even from several counselors. No, she just did that on her. I didn't go looking for it.
Here is my challenge. Do you feel, be very sincere, do you feel like if you had come to this point, either through her coming to you or you going to her, like maybe 6 months after, 3 months after, do you think you would have dealt with it then?
I don't think.
If you're not ready.
If you're not ready. Because here's what can happen. There's always a percentage that could then lead you deeper into depression. Sometimes you now hear the real thing. You think you're ready for it. You're not ready for it. So what if the guy now tells you, "Okay, I actually left you because you had bad body odor."
Hey, my chest.
Hey.
The resentment will become times 2.
See, you went there for closure. You will leave there with major annoyance, But oftentimes that's why we tell people when you break up, just go ahead and improve on yourself. That is usually the best gift you can give to yourself.
So don't need to look for closure.
Personally, even from what so many counselors would tell you, some people have the opinion, okay, but sometimes it is a dark road. You don't know what that would lead to. Deal with your breakup. Move on. You know, find your other ways to heal. Go to the gym. Look, it is. Nobody's going to tell you it's not hard.
Very hard.
But again, it's very hard sometimes because we confess it's very hard. We're spiritual people. Everything you're saying is happening. Everything you're saying is happening. So if you keep saying it's hard, it stays hard.
It stays hard.
If you start saying it's easy, it becomes easy. So it's like when the Bible says, okay, I think it's a song. And now let the weak say, I am strong. You are weak.
Yeah.
Say I'm strong. Say what you want to see, not what you're saying. Let the poor say I am rich. You're poor, money not there, but say I am rich. Consistently confess what you want to see, not what you're seeing. You get? So again, it's a process, definitely. I'm not going to sit and tell you it's easy.
It's the easiest thing.
But yes, keep confessing it's easy.
Yeah.
Keep saying it's not difficult. I will get through this. Stay on that. Sometimes your heart and your mouth are saying two different things, but stay on the speaking. I mean, the Spirit of God was hovering over on the surface of the deep. Now everywhere was dark. Baba said what he wanted to see, let there be light. He didn't say, it's dark, oh, which was reality.
Yeah.
You know, but then he said, let there be light.
Yeah.
And then there was light. So say what you want to see, not what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Preach!
That as in preach! Honestly, my mind is full, but like, I think that you're pinpointing like a very high level of accountability that a person needs to give themselves, because the easiest thing to do is to be like, hey, that person that hurts me now.
It's easy.
It's not better. That person should come, look for me, and apologize to me.
Yeah.
And you know, people are even like so-called moving on, and are just like on a revenge spree. Like, I will show that person.
People are thinking that they're moving on. They're not moving on.
They're not moving anywhere.
You just finish that chapter.
And then you know how, and then something that I don't know how it happens to men, but for women, like, let's see the next one now. She can't be as fine. That comparison starts to come in.
People even date like that. You want to date this other person who looks who's richer, or maybe more handsome or more beautiful, to show pepe. Yeah. And it's crazy.
So yeah, you're actually like, even for me listening to you, it's like a serious level of accountability, because at the end of the day, I think I've read this tweet where a person says that if you want to blame your parents, because expanding this beyond even relationships, so people are so angry with their parents, their siblings, you know, things like that. And they don't want to let it go because they feel validated. And this person tweeted and said, whatever blame you want to give your parents, maybe should end at like 21. Because at that point, you're responsible for your actions. And I feel like you're pinpointing a high level of accountability where, you got hurt, but like what you also said, sometimes you allow people hurt you.
They actually played their own role, yes. You know, so you can't take everything and say you just put everything on your own head, but be responsible for your own part. In fact, sometimes you probably did not even play any role. You know, there are cases where you probably didn't even really play any role. People just actually took advantage of you. Yeah, you know, but at the end of the day, don't sit and blame. Just go into yourself. What can I do better next time? It's not, I want to love again. No, I don't love anymore. Love is gone. There's no love outside there.
Nothing.
I'm sorry, you just become victim of
the Lagos dating pool is gone.
You just
by the way, do you think that the Lagos dating pool?
That's nonsense. We that have not married, so no marry. It's a lie.
You will find.
There are great men and great women there, and we will find them.
I love it.
We will date them. We'll marry them.
Kule Remy don't marry. Moses, please don't get engaged.
Sister.
Every day, the dating pool in Lagos is trash.
Be talking that one.
People are marrying every Saturday.
You're still there. Sometimes we just want to say those things because it makes people feel better. You don't want to face the thing.
Yeah.
You know, there are great people out there.
Okay, that's very deep. So I think we've moved past, you know, first of all, finding out about your traumas, and now how to heal past it. And
if you want to heal, I mean, it is quite a process.
It's a process.
You find. I mean, accept the issue. I have this as the problem. Go through your own history, dating wise, and all of that, emotional, you know, and all of that. Also, know your childhood.
That is where I was going to, because it keeps getting back to me in my head, like this thing I said about parents. And you know, you talked about the inner child, and not every one of us has been fortunate to have come from a very loving home. You know, sometimes our parents have actually made some mistakes, and we feel so justified because we were infants and we were underage, and some people still have the parents still living,
Yeah.
but they don't seem to be able to make that connection
No, that one is,
at a later
to
time.
be honest,
Yeah.
is something I'm still dealing with.
Okay, so your father is in the
Yeah.
pic. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You thought it was late.
No, but my parents are. My mom turned 70 last year.
Your mom?
Yeah.
Ah,
She's still a babe, child.
are
She's
you
still just.
serious?
I mean, we look younger than our age.
Wow.
My dad is very much alive. We talk every now and then, but definitely, but he's not in Lagos, so it doesn't give so much room for plenty. That
Yeah, that
bond.
bond.
Yeah, but I mean, I got to a point in my life where I become a man. This was me in my I become a man in my mid-20s, and he had already apologized for one or two things. At this point, I didn't even want to hear about any apology. I just said, "This life's you. Life happens. Sometimes the things you plan a certain way doesn't happen, and you just become the bad guy." And men can separate. Men can separate from a problem and just zone out mentally. And just zone out. And when I started becoming a man, I started to understand that. So I said, okay, though he messed up, truth be told, I mean, he just disappeared. It's not like my parents were married.
Okay.
They were. My dad had his wife. My mom had her husband. Where they meant to get married, but some things happened when so they didn't go. Mom was already pregnant and blah
So
blah
you were
blah.
like a love child?
Yes, I was. I've owned it since so. So when they called me bastard as a child, it hurt a lot. That was why. That was why. So constantly I would be in my
Can you
father's house,
imagine?
behind the house, crying because all of my the friends, my elder brother's friends, because my dad had a son before us. All of his friends, he was like the legitimate child. So I was like the child. Myself and my twin were like the kids who you're not legitimate. So some of his friends will come and say, "Do you even know your father? Are you sure they're not helping you? You are a bastard." In fact, my first book, I'm going to write a book, Once Upon a Bastard. I'm going to how I survived that.
His friends,
I mean,
father's friends.
not my father's friends, my elder
Okay,
brother's
elder brother.
friends.
Because I'm like, which kind of
No,
abayas?
my elder brother's friends.
Okay,
So that was the name attached to me at a young age. When I recently heard Helen Paul's gist, how she was being called a bastard as a child, I said, wow, we plenty, but later he apologized, my dad. I become a man, so I understood life in. I forgave the whole situation, but then again, working on the relationship, moving on from there. He's no longer in Lagos. I'm in Lagos. This way, I'm doing my business and all of that. So, but we've not been able to really bond. That will happen. If it happens, fine, but we talk every time on the phone. In fact, of my dad and my mom is the one I actually grew up with. That's my babe. Like babe, have fun. It's my dad I actually call and say, well, how are you doing? Hope you're good. How's business? All right, okay. I love you. He's the one that actually chips in that line, I love you. My mom, that is the who had always been there. I've never heard I love you from that woman.
Oh my goodness.
So it's just the truth is, but allow certain things happen. That's what I love you. I'm a man. It's in me like, why is Poppy saying? But it's very important that you hear these things.
Yeah.
I think one of your parents is saying it. Yeah. Both may not say it, but the one who I should be mad at is the one saying that.
Oh my goodness.
So man, I'd forgiven.
Wow.
Let me enjoy what I can enjoy from that relationship at the moment before he leaves Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is the reason why I kept thinking to go back to it, because I know I've heard. In fact, I was on this movie set and this particular person, in fact, I don't even remember her name or anything, but she was just talking about this story of something her dad had done to mom. I think it was the same scenario. Literally just had a whole different family elsewhere.
A lot of fathers did it back then. Bad guys.
Bad guys. And we think it's just nice.
It's not now. It's not now. But guys have calmed down now.
Yeah.
That time, you just see children from everywhere.
She was just talking about how they were so upset and everything, and how they all she told him off and she was the warrior, and then he passed, and how she didn't go for his funeral and everything, and she's like, she doesn't regret to. She doesn't regret to. But I mean, this has been a while back. But I remember because I believe I have a level of spirit of discernment. And I was just looking at her and I'm like, what were we even talking about that made you talk about this very deep thing with strangers? And I'm like, are you sure it did not affect you? Because honestly, we could have talked about fried rice. I don't know how we got there.
Yeah. It's a trigger. It's
Yeah.
just there. You're not accepting.
She just, but she was like, it's not affecting me. Nothing. I didn't even feel anyhow. But I was just like, no, I don't think that is true.
You're dealing with it.
And I think that on a very deep level, because heartbreak is not the only type of trauma. There's even like trauma you get from friendship break or friendship births and all of that. I really like what you said about how the fact that you and your dad are able to form a relationship, because I actually think that that is something that is very important to try for people who have gone through emotional trauma around their childhood in regards to their parents, because there's so many types of traumas. It could be a sibling, it could have been an uncle that did something to you, but especially like a parent. The reason why I'm focusing on that is because at the end of the day, I've seen people who have hated their parents all their lives, and then this parent passes and they're literally weeping like the whole world has ended. And a part of me is like, I don't understand. You are saying not like this person.
Yeah, I mean.
But then it now really dawns on you that life only gives you one mom and one dad. Unless you're part of the alphabet family, which we're not condoning. So typically it's one mom, one dad. And so if you decide to sear or cut off this relationship, even this even goes into siblings as well. Because some siblings also have this level of rivalry through relatable traumas, justified traumas, and never speaking, and that's it too. And you'll be surprised, 20, 30 years, they're not talking to each other anymore over one very little thing. So I just feel like, just as a reminder to whoever is watching, that life is one. So even for your own good.
Because you're going to be a parent. Well, when you become a parent, I'm not a parent yet, but I have so many friends who are parents, and I have discussions with them. If you can, I mean, if you have that parent who you've not had a relationship with or whatever, if they are open to it, fine, go ahead, make your moves, try to have a type of relationship. No one is saying it's going to be perfect, but try to have a form of relationship. Because when you become a parent, you would thank God for knowledge today. Knowledge is helping a lot of us today. Their own time, they didn't have, knowledge was not available everywhere. Today you can sit on YouTube, you learn so much. I mean, I learned so much about traumas and all of that just by sitting to study on them personally, read books and everything. So for your own good, for the good of your kids, I mean, right now I'm bearing my mom's maiden name as a surname to honor my dad. At least one of my sons will bear his personal name. And I had to tell my dad. And I know he got emotional because he wanted me to, okay, what are you going to give your children as their own names now? Because my children cannot move on with my mom's maiden name, which is Uba. You can't carry your mom's maiden name and give to your, no, it's not. So I was like, okay, fine, they will bear my name personal. It's not like OGBOLOR. Micheal.
Make them not go bully them for school. Say Ogbono. So it's going to be like Micheal. So
yeah, so it'll be like the Michael's family.
Michaels, and it even sounds tush.
Yeah, of course, they have to be tush. But we'll give them some strong traditional name there somewhere. But at least one of them will be a Lawrence. Wow. It's my dad's name.
Wow.
Just, take. And I told my dad, it's just to make him feel like some type of honor. So if you have that parent who is still alive, who is still even open to it or whatever, try to make that connection. It's important for you, for your soul. Because some people don't know, you may pass on this thing to your children.
Generational trauma.
Try to break it. Try. If it's possible to have a prayer time with that parent, try. I still plan to, when I see my dad, or probably because he's in Akwa Ibom, I'm in Lagos, probably one of these days, and I want to do it as soon as possible because I can feel the Holy Spirit has been prompting me to do it. Get him a gift. Kneel. Present it to him. Dad, pray for me. I don't remember anything what you do to me before, but I understand the power of from father to his son. I've been doing that with my mom, so yeah. If I've not done it this year, the woman not the verse for me. You've not come and collect to be prayed for, But I understand that parent-children thing, and for your own good, for the good of your kids too. try if you can. Nobody's imposing it, but I've attained a level of wisdom where I feel it's important. If you can, go ahead to do that. You know,
Yeah.
I want the blessing of my father.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, I feel like you're like projecting waves of healing. I'm not even like, that's the way I'm getting it.
Because I mean, I had to go through
Yeah.
several phases myself.
Yeah, I can tell. I can tell that you've gotten there, and I feel like people listening will also go through this journey, regardless of which point they're at.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting to be able to see the beginning point and the end point.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's a beautiful love story right there.
It is.
Wow.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
I think we have done justice
I believe so.
to this
So
topic.
anybody who is going through a form of trauma, please just help yourself.
Help
You have a lot of
yourself.
work to do personally. Don't wait for a savior to come.
Yeah.
Nobody's coming to save you. Heal for your own self, for yourself, and you have a role to play doing this.
Heal for yourself.
Yeah.
And also, like, there's also the tendency, I'm going to wrap up and say, there's also a tendency to label people. Oh, this person was a narcissist. Oh, this person was this. Oh, this
They've
person was
abused
that.
that word.
They have really abused it. And perhaps you might be right, and whatever the case may be, but leave the log in another person's eye. Focus on your speck. Focus on your healing.
Yeah.
If it's in a relationship, if it's in family, if it's with siblings, you know, because yes, they have hurt you, but you know, you also had your part to play, or maybe sometimes you also allowed it. And then I think moving forward, once you have healed past this, I think you need to avoid traumatized people too, because I have noticed that good people tend to be a magnet for traumatized people.
In fact, some people will hurt. Like there's a line my mentor will always say, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
So, and then sometimes you date from that angle too. You start to date somebody else who is hurt.
Yeah.
So you're hurting, something in you wants to fill that void, wants to heal that person. So you date the person. So it's like a doctor dating a patient. So that whole case sometimes can become messed up. So
yeah, I think you should just avoid it. Heal yourself first before trying to heal people.
Yeah.
And just maybe love them from afar and just pray for them. But thank you so much, Micheal.
Thank you
for coming to Open Up Podcast. I think that you really did open up.
Oh, well.
You really did open up.
I'll be back for other conversations.
Please, I would really love to have you back.
I'm available.
Especially this church hurts. Because I feel like there's a
I know
pastoral, light on your head.
That we'll do ministry now. We'll do ministry in our own way.
Yeah. Of course, not everybody is for the pulpit. Not everybody, but everybody in some way is a pastor. So I hope that you actually learned, something. You were able to. Even me, I actually felt like I got some level of understanding, like enlightenment, and I hope you feel that way too. Yeah, but thanks for watching. You know what to do now. The comment section, leave your comments, share your thoughts, open up as well. Tell us some of the topics you would like to talk about, and I will try my best to do justice to it with people who can also do justice. I think that OGBOLOR did justice to this, so thank you so much for coming. I'll see you guys next time. My name is Amanda Dara, and I had today on the Open Up Podcast. Mwah.